Well, welcome to my first ever soap opera diagnosis. I did a diagnosis on pro wrestling last night. I figured why not do it on soap operas since they too are a dying thing, in my opinion. And I'm trying to diagnose them and save them, but I don't have that kind of power. I genuinely hate some of the topics that I have to talk about today because they're mostly negative. It's mostly going to be about General Hospital. And then I'll talk about the Neighbours cancellation. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Young The Restless actually improving some, which I like. But first, let's talk about the shit show that is Frank Valentini's General Hospital. The latest blow to the fan base of Sprina, which is Spencer and Trina, is that Sydney Mikayla is leaving her role as Trina here in just a couple weeks. And it's her decision, and she wants to focus on college, and that is great, honestly, for her. I don't think anything should be held against her, for sure. And her leaving doesn't necessarily need to be held against the show, but what does need to be held against Frank Valentini, and I've been reiterating this a lot, is one, his terrible decision making when it comes to this show, and his history of sketchy decision making when it comes to black characters and interracial couples need to be brought back into the forefront once again. Even though I just finished this topic over a month ago, I have to keep reiterating it. Because Frank's pace for this show in general, General Hospital, is awful. But the fact that he did not have the foresight to give Sprina a real story speaks on just how awful he is as a producer. It's a joke to not jump on this momentum on social media and this chemistry between the two actors. The fact that there was truly only crumbs as a story for Spencer and Trina, and they brought in Esme. In hindsight, with Sydney leaving, makes Valentini look awful at his job, because he not only set this show back, making progress socially, but he has set American soap operas back with his bad decision making. They have already been in such a bad place for so long that it looks really bad that they finally had this popular back actress and a popular pairing for them, and he decided to do nothing with them. And the excuse that she was in school doesn't work, because that has only been an excuse for about 5 months, maybe 6. But even then, it's not like Trina has completely disappeared off of the screen. So instead of giving them nothing when Trina is on twice a week, they could have actually had a story twice a week. Because now, with all of this chemistry that never really happens often on American soap operas, and especially these days, you think soap operas can have couples these days that actually catch momentum and have this kind of chemistry? It does not happen often. So this was such a missed opportunity by the show to showcase a popular, young, interracial couple with chemistry, and to give a black actress more to work with when she is this popular. It is so awful from Valentini and General Hospital. The fact that Trina had no real love story under Sydney portraying her, with Valentini in charge of this shit show, is just, it's an atrocity. This is supposed to be a soap opera. I don't understand why you can't give the young black girl an actual love interest and an actual storyline and an actual couple. Now, the character is being recast, and I will get to that in a second. But I can't not get away from the fact how bad Valentini is at his job and always has been. It is not just with the black characters, it is even with popular vets that Valentini decides to either put them in a corner because all the black characters on the show are usually just acting amongst themselves. A soap opera staple for so long, why not put them out into the cast more and have them have real storylines? But whatever. Yeah, and you wonder why American soap operas are where they are. And like I mentioned on my wrestling podcast last night, the fact that these shows and these businesses just continue to piss off black fans or make them feel unwanted as viewers only spites these shows and these businesses. It makes no sense on a business level either, so it doesn't make any sense on a creative level, doesn't make any sense on a business level, so then what is it? I don't understand why this genre always has its head up its ass. So Trina has been recast. She will be portrayed by an actress by the name of Tabyana Ali. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but hopefully. I do think she needs to be given a chance, but unfortunately, any way you splice it, the chemistry between Trina and Spencer is just not going to be the same. But at that same time, I don't want this to be the time where Frank thinks he could get away with his shittiness and decide that it's not going to work for Spencer and Trina, and they could put Spencer with Joss or some new white girl. This is going to be a major hit to the Sprina fan base, but it needs to still continue down the same road. So the soap already missed on this opportunity to have a popular young couple with that kind of chemistry, but they can still try to salvage it. But I don't trust Frank, and there's no reason to trust Frank or to trust soap operas in general, because they have constantly over the years, especially in America, just decided to use a lot of their black characters as the sidekick or fodder for the white characters for basically the entire history of American soap operas. But that doesn't work anymore, and nothing these shows do really work anymore, so I don't understand why not try new things. Why not actually try to push the black characters at the forefront? You know, Days of Our Lives is doing that with Paulina and Lonnie, and it's working because it's the only watchable storyline on that goddamn show right now. I just really think that the fact that Frank messed this up so bad, and the soap press will continue to say, don't blame Frank, don't blame Frank, and yet he is always to blame. This show runs through him. He makes the bad decisions that happen. He made Sprina move at a snail pace, and they don't even get a real payoff now for the fan base that put in the time, put in the effort, and have been enjoying the show. And it's the only time this show really gets popular on social media or trends on Twitter is when it has been Sprina. I mean, occasionally Carly and Sunny, but them pushing Carly down our throats hasn't helped a damn thing either. This is supposed to be an ensemble show, not just the Carly hour. Everyone needs to give the new Trina a chance because she's coming into a hard situation for one. And we already know the history of how the soaps have treated black actresses for two, or black characters for three. So she needs the support, and I would like to hope that Valentini actually does have a brain cell and actually will be able to see that if they have a new Trina that can be used more because she's not in school, then this is a great time to actually push Spencer and Trina forward, even if this is going to hurt a lot of the momentum. You can still try. So I just do hope that the new Trina will be given a chance. I'm going to give her a chance. I don't think the chemistry is going to be the same. I mean, this is like the equivalent of will say when Duke was recasted, I don't remember the actor's name that Duke was recasted with, but if Duke was recasted before Anna and Duke even became a couple, then the chemistry still would not have been there. I don't even know if that's a good comparison because I don't think the actor fit as Duke whatsoever. So let's have to go to Days of Our Lives with this comparison. Let's say that before Peter Reckle and Kristen Alfonso could become what they were as Bo and Hope, back when they were in the push-pull stage, back before they even shared a first kiss, let's say Peter Reckle was, for whatever reason, a decade early, was recasted with Robert Calker-Callie. Well, do you really think the chemistry would have been the same? It wasn't, because Robert Calker-Callie didn't have any chemistry as Bo with Hope in the 90s, so that wouldn't have worked. Now, I don't think these two are going to have no chemistry, at least I hope not, or that would be bad, and that is probably what Frank wants. But I don't think that's going to totally be the case, that they're going to have no chemistry, but it's certainly not going to be the same. Any way you slice it, I just want to get off the subject because it annoys the ever-living shit out of me. Everything with Valentini annoys the shit out of me because this truly just showed that despite what the soap press wants to say to gas up Valentini and give General Hospital good PR, that Valentini continuously makes major mistakes for this show that not only sets back General Hospital, but really just makes the whole genre continue to look like garbage. We will see with the new Trina, Tabiana, Ali brings to the show. I hope she can make Trina her own and keep Trina popular. Let's quickly talk about more bad news, and that is that Neighbours was officially canceled. I mean, it was officially canceled a month ago when Channel 5 in the UK pulled out of their deal with the show, which means Neighbours didn't have the money to continue on in Australia unless it found another broadcast channel in the UK to pick it up. When I recorded the Neighbours video early this month, it wasn't official from the show that they were not able to find a channel in the UK to pick it up, but it became official just a few days ago. So Neighbours will be ending this summer, sadly, but it's another instance of how this genre just isn't just dying in America, but all over the world. I guess soap operas just don't appeal to people anymore. I don't know why. There's so much TV that there is room for everything, honestly. I do wonder, how do you all watch your TV? I feel like soap operas make even if you don't get engrossed by soap operas anymore, they still make great background TV. Sometimes background TV is needed, I think, to be on, and I think soap operas do that very well. But we will be using Neighbours. Home and Away will live on in Australia, however. But Australia will be down to one soap opera. And it does suck because I do feel like Neighbours, like I said in my last Neighbours video when it was in third place in my rankings, I do feel like Neighbours is in a good spot. But creatively, it's in a good spot. I've enjoyed the last few months of Neighbours when it came back from hiatus. But we'll see. I do think it's probably going to be good these last few months. I hope they go out large and in charge. Speaking of shows that I've actually been enjoying more, The Young and the Restless has actually improved. When I started watching The Young and the Restless again over the fall, and how boring it was, and it stayed pretty boring until recent weeks. I said it in my last Young and the Restless video when it got up to 8th place, still pretty low in the rankings, but it's trying, that Robert Newman has brought such an energy to the show as Ashland, and that I was kind of hoping that it would stay that way that it would work its way up to have a new energy creatively, and I kind of feel like that's kind of happened. I think the rivalry between Ashland and Victor this past couple weeks, and with Victoria involved in it all, has actually made for pretty decent soap opera, if not good at times. So bless Robert Newman for actually bringing an energy to Young and the Restless that was so needed. I'm enjoying that the show is improving because I would like to see any improvement from these American soap operas, with 3 out of the 4 of them being at the bottom of my rankings for the past several months. It hasn't been fun to watch them. And The Bold and the Beautiful has slipped too. It's not as enjoyable as it had gotten, because it just gets so plot driven and so redundant. It does. So I hope The Young and the Restless can continue that energy. I don't have faith that it will. I don't have a lot of faith in Josh Griffith, because he hasn't showed us a reason to have that faith. Well, that is all for the first soap opera diagnosis. I'm going to keep these around 20 minutes for now, unless I have a lot to say. I just had to rant about Valentini again, because that has been one of my main rants these last 2 months, about how Valentini continues to drop the ball with Trina and Spencer, and that his history, it just doesn't look good for you, man, Frank. Like, you're gonna get called out on this shit now. It's 2022. You can't just keep leaving the black characters. You can't keep paying them dust and not get called out on it. And I don't care how much the soap opera media continues to try and have your back and continues to try and give you good PR. I ain't gonna have it. I gotta call him out every single time he makes a bad decision, which seems to be a lot, because the show sucks right now and he makes a lot of bad decisions, and the snail pace is a major issue on this show. When you put the snail pace next to Carly being the center of attention at all times, this show sucks. And then popular couples are paying the price because of that. It makes no sense business-wise, no sense logically, no sense creatively. I don't know how you all expect me to not call out these shows on why they are dying. Some of you that watch, you get it, and I'm glad you get it. And shout out to those that comment. I enjoy the comments. Even if you disagree with me, I enjoy the comments. But these shows are dying for a reason, because they either suck creatively or they don't know how to get into modern society. Period.